Domestic violence is an epidemic that has ruined far too many lives in this country, and to stop it, we must understand what the heart of that problem is. New York City recently released their annual report on domestic violence, and it has some truly disturbing conclusions. A vast majority of adult family-related homicides in New York City were women, and disproportionately black women. They also occurred more frequently in neighborhoods with poor economic conditions. And what's worse, many of these women didn't leave their abusive homes simply because they couldn't financially afford to do so. Our next guest, Zerlina Maxwell, wrote about those findings in her latest piece for Essence magazine, and she joins us now. Zerlina, it's so nice to have you.
Nice to be here.
So tell us, what are the underlying reasons? Why are black women disproportionately affected here?
Well, I don't think that it has to do with the fact that they're black. It really just has to do with the fact that we're socialized in a certain way when we're girls and boys. All races are, and we're not taught what a healthy relationship looks like. And so I think that's reinforced by culture in certain circumstances. But I think that the bottom line here is that black women, we have the highest numbers of sexual assault, and that actually mirrors Native women as well. Latino women have very high rates of sexual assault. And so I just think that largely the solutions to the problem have to do with solving it before the violence occurs, and not after the fact.
These are heartbreaking facts, but I'm so glad that you are here to bring light to the problem, and you talk about why the problem perpetuates. You write about the you should keep it in the family notion that a lot of us have, and the distrust of the police that a lot of black and brown folks have, and sometimes this fear, even among those who've been victimized, of not wanting to get another black man in trouble. All that perpetuates the problem.
That is a very real problem, and one of the numbers that the commissioner when I interviewed her about the report for this piece, she said the number that keeps her up at night is 75%. That's the number of homicides where the first contact that they have with the prosecutor, the NYPD, is when the homicide actually occurs. And so there's no prior contact because of the reasons you're saying. Because, you know, communities of color have a distrust of the police department, or won't want to call the police because maybe it'll get a family member or their loved one in trouble and sent to jail, being part of the mass incarceration issue.
Well, another big problem that stuck out to me in your piece is the number of women that don't tell anyone or don't get out of it because they can't afford to do so. I mean, take this stat, 42% of family-related homicides occurred in neighborhoods with very low socioeconomic statistics, high rates of poverty and unemployment, low median household income, and low high school. I mean, that just broke my heart. It breaks my heart,
but it's also a moment in which we can start to tackle the problem in a new way. So instead of programs that are targeted towards domestic violence, like they historically try to solve these problems, okay, let's do a program about how to, you know, why domestic violence is wrong, and trying to get women into shelters. But instead, what I think was unique about this report was the commissioner was talking about how to solve income inequality by targeting domestic violence survivors, giving them places to live. One of the largest contributing factors to homelessness is leaving an abusive relationship. So I think that one of the things we have to focus on is tackling the issue of domestic violence to then fix the problem of income inequality instead of the other way around.
So, and there's that economic side, and then there's also just how crime happens. One of the things that I've always found interesting is for people who don't have direct contact with it, not police and not lawyers, the vision of crime generally is, oh, some stranger, someone I don't know, someone scary is going to come get me. That is a type of crime, and it's terrible. But a great deal of violent crime occurs between people who know each other, either within a relationship or otherwise a friendship, a neighborhood, and so that is a very different set of triggers. You report in your piece 75% of these family-related homicides have no prior police contact. Now, that's a choice that's separate, I think, from economics or money. That means those individuals never reach out for, I guess the question to your reporting, for what reason?
Well, I think that, one, a distrust of the police, but also, I mean, are you going to call the police and tell them that your father abused you, or your uncle abused you, or your brother, or your boyfriend?
They might separate you from your family.
They might separate you from your family or your children. But also, one of the things that happens, and I think this problem is largely trying to be tackled here in New York City, which is really on the forefront of these issues, is by providing family justice centers, which is really a one-stop shop. You have the prosecutor, you have social services and housing all in the same place so that people can go to one place to get the help they need.
Yeah, and unfortunately, these statistics here in New York provide a window into what's going on in a lot of communities in America. Zerlina Maxwell, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.